There we go, we're live.
My name is Nick. I'm a full-time trader and entrepreneur. Hey, well, welcome to the stream.
Having me back, Nick.
Thanks so much for taking the time.
Good morning. Good morning. We're doing great.
All right, guys, so we are back in CAD Swiss.
So here's GBP USD.
Just sort of break down the trade.
Hey, keep it pretty short. I'm only trading for 2 or 3 hours.
I will not disappoint you, my friends.
Hi, guys, and welcome back. I'll just wait for a little more people to come through. Hi, Calvin. Hi, Lorenzo. So, yeah, I'm just going to give it a few more minutes. Hope everyone's well. But, yeah, if you do want to see more of my analysis and things like that, just give it a thumbs up and just turn your notifications on as well with A1, and then we'll definitely be able to keep you updated with what I'm doing as well every Tuesday at 7 p.m. GMT. So just keep that in mind. Hey, Zachary, how are you doing? You okay? So yeah, I'll give people a few more minutes. So yeah, today, all I'm doing again is just showing you what my watch list is looking like today, what I've been involved with. So I've actually been involved with 3 trades today. So I'll go through all of those with you shortly. And as you can see here, there's my watch list that was built up from today. So you can have a look through those pairs as well. So you can see exactly what I was sort of looking at, and just sort of mirror my analysis from your end. Okay, so 2 minutes past, to give it a few more minutes. But yeah, just a little insight with what I've been sort of involved with today. No losses, thank God. But yeah, could have done better on a few setups. But mostly all counter trend trades that I've been involved with today. No trending trades at all, and nothing that sort of caught my attention. So if everybody's ready, I'll kick off very soon. And I'll just also go into a little bit about crypto as well. So in terms of crypto itself, not many changes for me. I mean, I've bought more XRP, I've bought more Poly, and that's about it. I mean, I've bought more Hedera Hashgraph as well, so I'm not too sure whether you guys are familiar with that crypto as well. So I'm more than happy to go through with you what I'm watching, what's on my radar, and sort of what I'm involved with. Let's have a look. Let's see what time it is now. This was asking for gold analysis. So with gold, it isn't something that I'm trading at the moment. However, I do have a little system that I am working on, so I'm more than happy to show you my sort of views on gold. So bear with me guys, I've not actually looked at gold at all today. So let's just have a quick look. I'll go ahead and share my screen as well on the gold system that I use, just so that you can see how it sort of differs a little bit in terms of what I use for my currency pairs, and then what I use for gold and metal pairs, because I feel like gold's a lot more volatile. There's a lot more movement and it can be very choppy. So yeah, I use a few different EMAs there because I feel like it works a little bit better. But yeah, I am still working on my gold setup, so bear with me with that. So what I'll do is I'll share the gold first. So let's have a look. I hope everyone's well as well. Okay, so these are the indicators that I use for gold. So I use quite similar to the Forex pairs. I do use the 9 and the 21 EMA. So instead of the 8 and the 21, I use the 9. So it's a slight difference, but it does help with gold, especially because I think there's too much noise when we use the 8 EMA with gold. So yeah, the 8 and the 21 is a really, really tight EMA. I always stick with it. And it just gives me a little bit more confluence and bias, especially when it's alongside the 8 or the 9 EMA. Depending on obviously what I'm trading, it just helps to sort of give added confirmation, especially when you see like a crossover of the two. Just gives you a more confluence and more sort of probability of direction of trend, and where the trade may potentially end up as well. Can also be really, really handy when sort of looking into an entry signal. So that's primarily why I use the 8 and the 21 and the 9 and the 21 EMA. So that's enough of me rambling on there about the indicators. So in terms of gold itself and just sort of implementing that into what I actually, how I trade day to day, my normal approach to this would obviously be boxing up the Asian range, and that is a really, really key part of my trading. So that isn't something that's going to go away. And I really do strongly believe in the Asian range. So it just gives you sort of confirmation just to see whether it's going to be sort of a choppy, sideways sort of movement throughout the day, or whether it's going to be a little bit more volatile. So if the Asian range is broken, 9 times out of 10, you are going to see a little bit more volatility than it would be sort of chopping sideways. So there's definitely added confluence in your trading when using the Asian range, and I would highly recommend it. So I use 10 a.m. to 6 a.m. GMT. So that's the Asian range that I sort of mark up, and that is something that's part of the ASFX system as well. And I really, really do recommend that. And if you are a little bit stuck and hesitant with which sort of course to purchase and what to look into, I'd highly recommend the ASFX course. So that's asfx.biz, or you can search Austin Silver FX on YouTube, and then you'll be able to sort of check out his YouTube and his Instagram. Actually, you'll be able to see exactly the director and the founder of ASFX. So it's a very, very it's a great system. I absolutely love the system. It works really well for me, especially when I've sort of tweaked it based on my current situation and things like that. It does work really well. However, no system and course is out there for everybody. So it is a recommendation from me. I'm not going to sit here and say it's going to work for you. It's just sort of my advice. And if you're looking for pointers, I would really recommend the ASFX course. Hi, Jamon. Sorry, I'm not too sure whether I've said that right. Please correct me if I'm wrong. Thanks for tuning in. So Asian range is all boxed up. That's fine. It has actually broken that range this today around 8 a.m. GMT. And something that I like to do with gold is mark up liquidity levels. And I know it's a very, very basic way of sort of analysing price, but it works really, really well with gold. It works very well because gold, just like quite a few Forex pairs, they do make these continuation of patterns. Price does sort of reject and come off certain levels and also rebound off those key levels as well. So it's important to sort of keep an eye on these key levels. And it isn't something that I sort of trade against or trade off, but it's just something that gives me more confluence and added confirmation. So who's in the comments there? Gold bullish. Well, I mean, it didn't really go higher. Didn't really go much higher today, so it definitely came lower. I don't know whether you mean bullish as in because it's came lower today, it's sort of coming off this level and it will go higher. I'm not a forecaster, I'm a reactor, so I react to the market rather than sort of trying to predict it. I feel like it's much better to sort of react to the market rather than sit here and try and predict where price is going, because for me that's just a 50-50 chance. It's either going to go higher or lower. So yeah, I'm more of a reactor than a forecaster. So yeah. Right, okay. So, I mean, price broke the Asian range, like I've said before, that's brilliant. And then you just had a few wicks sort of respecting this zone. So that's why I've sort of had this zone marked up, because there's a little bit of interest there. especially with the wicks sort of coming up and rejecting that, but it did come lower. Okay, so if I was looking to trade gold, I would have taken a short opportunity with this, and I would have taken took advantage of this entry candle. However, it's whether the risk reward of 2R was there. So let's just have a quick look. See, for myself, because the wicks were previously rejecting this level, I'd move my stop loss a little bit higher. So I'd probably put it about here. And then if I was being really safe about that, then I'd prop it a little bit higher maybe. But I would be probably happy around 1868.28, that sort of region. That's what I'd be happy with taking anyway. But you can see it only went 1.5R, and that was from 3 o'clock. And for me to trade at 3 o'clock GMT, that's quite late for me. I probably wouldn't take a trade after 2 o'clock. And the reason behind that is because I'd probably finish my trade session by 3, 4 o'clock anyway. So yeah, I wouldn't take gold, and I wouldn't take that opportunity. It might come lower. It might just be respecting that 21 EMA, and it might just come lower. But you can see that there's an increase of buyers coming in a little bit here, and then we've got the cross of the buyers. We've got the buyers crossover, and then we've got the bullish volume that has begun. So I don't know whether it's sort of the volume sort of increased because we've got a few people sort of buying at this stage and it has come higher. It might just test and come lower, or it might just sort of reject off this level completely and come higher. So if I was involved in this trade, I'd be taking the majority of the position out at 1.5R because of the time of day, and then I'd leave about 20 to 30% of the trade running, because it might be just testing the 21, and then I'd put my stop loss. I would try and put my stop loss preferably here, just to give it a little bit of breathing space if it does go a little bit higher than the 21 EMA. Like I said, entry and exit signals are really key with my trading as well. So my exit signal is as important as me entering a trade. So I'd probably say an exit signal would be the break of the 21 EMA. And then, yeah, I'd be looking at coming out of the trade, because I wouldn't want to be wasting my time on this trade, coming out of the trade and then thinking, God, it's gone to break even. I don't like the greed getting to me at all. I'm more than happy with taking a few little partial profits here and there, if I do feel like the trade is starting to slow down. So yeah, that's my sort of analysis on gold, and that is only on the 15 minutes. So I mean, I've not even taken into consideration higher time frames here. So looking on the half an hour, you can see it a lot clearer there, that sort of point of interest of where the wicks keep rejecting that sort of key level that I marked up over here. However, I'm just having a look on the 4 hour. And it is still short bias. Like you can see, the buyer's volume has been there since the 11th. So last week. So I mean, you can see as well on the 4 hour, it has come lower. And again, off this previous resistance level, price has come lower as well last week. So there's definitely added confluence when using these sort of point of interest, just to sort of give yourself a little bit more confluence. I wouldn't sort of rely on those, but I'd definitely take it into account and just sort of be wary of all of these different support and resistance levels in place, because price might be just rejecting off or sort of breaking through those sort of ranges. So I would be mindful of that when you are looking at placing a trade. And then let me just have a quick check on the daily as well. So yeah, on the daily, we had a bit of a candle coming through the 21 EMA there. So that sort of bullish momentum has been Yes, so sorry there. I was just sort of looking at something then. So the bullish momentum has definitely slowed down. It's definitely been reduced. So that's why price is continually coming lower here. It has broke through the 21 EMA, so price might continue coming lower. Obviously, don't bank me on that. This is just sort of a few ideas. I've not been sort of researching gold, and it isn't my top priority at the moment. But in terms of my analysis, there is the opportunity that this might come lower. And if that's the case, then I'd be looking for risk rewards to about here, where price has previously been. And again, that will give you 2R. That gives you 2.13. And then if you want to take it a little bit less, just to be a little bit safe, you can bring it straight to 2R. And I mean, like I said, it might just come lower and just continue the trade going down throughout the night. So gold, I'm just going to leave that on the back burner. If anyone's got any questions about gold, I'm not the greatest person to go to because it isn't something that I really look at. But just going off my sort of analysis and my experience, I wouldn't consider taking that trade just because within my time frame it doesn't really fit well with what times I finish trading, and also just because my gold system isn't up to scratch as it should be. So I'm still testing that, so it isn't something that I'm 100% confident with. Who's saying that you can't see my screen? Can nobody see my screen? Can everyone see the gold screen? Okay, guys. So I'm just catching up with a little bit of the comments here. So, hey guys. NASDAQ, unfortunately, I don't trade NASDAQ, so you would have to look into that elsewhere. I know there are quite a few people on the channel that have been trading NASDAQ, so if you can check out some of their videos, that would be great. It is something I want to get into, but it isn't my top priority at the moment. I've got other things that I need to be working on. And thanks so much, Lorenzo, for sharing. I appreciate that. Okay, so brilliant. Thanks a lot for the feedback, guys, about the screen. All good. Had a bit of technical issues last week, you see, so just making sure it's all good. So Tushar said, what pairs, do you trade the most? So let's have a look on the Forex side of things. So I'm going to leave gold for now, and then just sort of come back to that. So bear with me, guys. Let me just quickly share my screen for the Forex side of things. Sorry, I've got different systems, so I need different tabs for each one. Let's have a look. Okay, so it's a little bit different than the average person. The average person would trade about 4 to 6 pairs, maybe less. People like trading 2 to 3 pairs, depending on what sort of works good for them. Thanks a lot for the feedback, Rush. I appreciate that. So, can everyone see my CAD CHF trade? Just to let you know. Can everyone see that? Yeah, brilliant, all good. So, I trade. There's 21 different Forex pairs that I actually trade, as you can see. So from EU all the way down to CAD CHF. So there's a lot of pairs there, and they're all pairs that I've back tested, and they're pairs that I feel like that's worthwhile with trading. There are a few that I've had to sort of remove off my watch list just because of the average daily range not being quite sufficient enough, and it is something that I'm looking at sort of eliminating with CAD CHF as well. So I mean, CAD CHF at the moment, the average daily range is about 31 pips, which isn't much. However, I have noticed with CAD CHF, when it does move, it moves. So maybe the pips aren't there, and the movement isn't there. However, when it does move, it does move. So that's the one reason why I do keep it on my watch list, because now and again it can show up, and it can be a really good winner. So what I'll do is I'll start with what I was watching today. So 21 Forex pairs is what I go through day to day, and then I build my watch list. So from my watch list today, so this is what I've been trading, sort of keeping my eye on today and looking for some opportunities. EU all the way down to CAD CHF. So you can have like a little moment just to see what pairs that I was watching today. Okay, so we'll start with EU. So the reason why EU was on my watch list today was because I really liked the liquid 50. It was in the buy zone, brilliant. It was in the direction of trend. It did come higher, which is brilliant. However, there was no entry signal with this. So as you can see, I like coming off the 21 EMA and the 8. So I like coming off this darker line, really. So I like looking for an entry point off that level, along with the 8 EMA. And as you can see, throughout Asian range, price was already holding the 8 EMA. So because it didn't come lower, I didn't see the need to sort of get involved with that. And there was no entry signal for me. However, it did come lower. And let me just double check. No case yet. So no point of interest really at all there either. That's fine. So yeah, no entry signal whatsoever. It did come higher, broke the Asian range. And there was quite a bit of movement today with EU. So yeah, it definitely did come lower. The liquid 50 stayed in the buy zone up until this afternoon. So price did come lower at about 4 o'clock. So it did go into the sell zone. So the way I eliminate my watch list as well, sometimes I can have 16 to 18 pairs on my watch list and it can get a little bit overwhelming. I do like a process of an elimination. So I'll go through each pair, and then if I'm looking for an in-trend pair and it does fall within the opposite direction of trend, which in this case it was bullish, but then it did go through to the sell zone into the bearish region, then I would remove that off my watch list. So because it was 4 o'clock and my trading sort of day was sort of up for the rest of today, I just let that run, and I just kept it on my watch list because it was fine up until I finished my trading session. So that was the reason why EU was on my watch list. It wasn't an entry signal, but I'm more than happy to just watch and observe because you can learn without even being involved with the markets there. And then we've also got Euro GBP. So I was looking at Euro GBP as well. And as you can see, I had some bearish divergence drawn on this. And this was from this morning. So I seen this point of interest. And this was all the way back from last week as well. So it was sort of acting as a little support level. A resistant level last week. And then it sort of changed into a support level as well for this week. So as you can see, price was still sort of hit and miss around this zone. So it did break. However, it did come back and retested this zone again. So I thought that was quite significant, and I thought I'd carry that on until today as well. So throughout today. And then price. So we had wick, and wick. Went all the way, went to ADR. So this green line here. Made a little low, and then went all the way up to ADR. So ADR to ADR. So it would have been a great trade opportunity if there was an entry signal and if the TDI was great. However, because there was none of those things, I let it run. And because the divergence, if this was a great trade, I'd be looking for this shift candle to have a perfect TDI. So the liquid 50 on top, the liquid 50 on the bottom, the RSI on top, and the trend line through the middle. That's what I'd be looking for, which is here. However, if I was looking at taking this as a shift candle off the 8 in the 21 EMA, the trend line and the RSI, as you can see here, could be a lot better. So that's why I didn't think it was worth me risking my capital if I didn't know whether if everything didn't tick my boxes. And you know, guys, that I am quite sort of strict with my rules and things like that. So that is the main reason why I couldn't sort of get a great entry signal, and that's why I weren't involved with Euro GBP today. But But hey ho, you live, you learn, and you find more opportunities as the days go by. So I was more than happy to just let that run today, because that would have been a C setup at most. Bearish divergence on top and not a great entry signal. No, that's just not ticking my boxes at all. Some people might have traded it and brilliant, it did pay off, but obviously probability is key. That isn't going to happen all the time, day to day. And I mean, you're not going to get a system or a strategy with 100% returns or 100% profit gain or anything like that. You will find losses, and it's important for you to stick to your plan and avoid those, and just to avoid everything you can, because you can't bank on winning every trade, but you can eliminate yourself from losing. Sorry, you can eliminate the amount of times you lose by giving yourself a much tighter edge when it comes to your trading approach. So I want to talk a little bit as well about the bearish divergence. So even though it is in place, you can see that it was actually broken. So this candle broke through the bearish divergence, and if I sort of extend this, there's no bearish divergence anymore. So that is a straight line. This TDI isn't lower than this point here. So because of that, that wouldn't be a valid bearish divergence. Obviously, if it was still down here and price didn't sort of break out that region and it did come lower, then that would be valid divergence. So I mean, you're more than happy to take a trade with divergence in the way, because obviously there's the risk of you potentially breaking through that divergent zone and you making 2-3R on a trade, which is brilliant. But you need to take into consideration that it is a knock on the trade, and it will reduce the setup as well in terms of grading. So yeah, if I was looking to trade that, I'd trade it as C setup. And like I've said to you guys, I'm not a fan of C setup, so I'm more than happy to sort of leave that where it is. And just before I move on, someone's asked me about CAD CHF. Let's have a look. So with CAD CHF, I was saying it's got a 30 pip ADR. So when you have moves like this, they move. But I wasn't looking to buy CAD CHF at all, because as you can see, it just fell lower. So I don't know where you got that from, sorry. But yeah, I'm more than happy to go through GU with you as well, but that wasn't on my watch list. So yeah, I'll cover that in a second. So that was Euro GBP, and then Euro JPY was a trade that I was involved with. And it was a counter trend trade, and all three of the trades that I was involved with today were counter trend. Steve said, do you always use 30-minute time frame? So I use 15-minute to daily, so 15, half an hour, 1 hour, 4 hour, and then all the way up to daily. I don't use the weekly or the monthly. I just, with me being a day trader and I'm not a swing trader, I don't feel like I need to. But yeah, I use the 30-minute just to have a look at point of interest and things like that, and also just to see whether higher time frames are within the direction of trend, or whether it's not if I'm doing counter trend. So I'm going to talk you through a little bit about this setup. So this was a counter trend trade. So like I've said before, with counter trend trades, I look for an overbought or oversold TDI. So usually when price can't really go any higher, when it's overbought and it's oversold, price does sort of reject off that level and come lower. So another thing that I liked about this was the bearish divergence. So the bearish divergence and the fact that price is overbought means that it can't go any higher and it might just come lower. And with it being bearish divergence there, that isn't broken. So price virtually came off that divergence level and came lower, which is brilliant. I really, really liked that. And I thought that there could be an opportunity for me to get in here because I did like the TDI here as well. So as you can see, you've got the L50 on the top, the RSI at the bottom, and the trend line in the middle. So a brilliant TDI, especially if you're looking to go short. And I'll just quickly move my notes back up here, actually. So I liked the shift candle with this as well. The shift candle was really good. Asian range was broken. And then I also had, let's see if it's any clearer on the theme, on the 1 hour. Yeah, it's on the 1 hour. I had this sort of point of interest marked up here. So this was sort of like a resistance level. So I was looking for price to come lower. And then if I go on the daily, you can see that price is still in the buy zone there. And with these trades, because you're going against the trend, you're looking for the higher time frames to be in favor of the direction you're trading. So the best way for me to explain this is the setup itself. It's long biased, which means that you would be looking for longs. However, because of the smaller time frames and what's going on with the smaller time frames, because I'm a day trader and I trade the 15-minute, I'm looking for sort of short-term opportunities and short-term trades. So even if the daily and the 4 hour is short biased, but the rest of the trade is bull biased, that gives me added confirmation because you've got the higher time frames that are confirming the direction of the trend on the smaller time frames, if that makes sense. So I'll start from the daily. So the daily time frame, sorry, it's quite messy because I've got so many different entry ideas on here. Don't pay too much attention to the candlesticks itself at the moment, just because I've got a lot going on here. So as you can see, you've got the liquid 50 in the buy zone there. And then if we take it down on the 4 hour, it is in the sell zone. So the fact that the 4 hour is in the sell zone is great. However, the one knock I had on this was the fact that the daily was still long biased. So because the daily was long biased, that's only one higher time frame that was sort of in the direction of where I want to trade. So I did grade it down by one knock because there was only one time frame out of all of them to be in the direction of where I want to trade. However, it is a counter trend trade, so you are trading against the trend. So it is something to sort of be mindful of, but it isn't a major knock, and that's why I've just given it the one knock. So on the 4 hour, as you can see, it's in the sell zone. That's fine. I'm looking for that. I'm looking for some added confirmation for it to come lower today. And then again, as you can see, on the 4 hour, you can see that sort of level again, that point of interest level. So moving on the 1 hour, which I've shown you previously, that's still in the buy zone. Half an hour still in the buy zone, and I did like the TDI as well. So the TDI was pretty much mirroring what was happening on the 15-minute as well. So I did like that. So yeah, I took this trade and I thought, okay, the yen pairs today do seem to be bringing quite a few pairs lower, and that was pretty much across the board. So a knock, sorry Russell, a knock is something that sort of is like a negative against the trade. So I look for a lot of things to be in my favor when I'm taking a trade, and if there's things that I don't agree with or things that could be better with the trade, then I grade it down. So I have grades A, B, and C. A setups being the best, most probable setups. B setups being high probable setups. However, they do have one knock. So they have one thing wrong with the trade that I don't like, and it does make it a little bit less probable. And then you've got your C setups, what has 2 knocks or more. So 2 bad things that I don't like about the trade. And I don't get involved with C setups. And the reason behind that is because it's less probable. So I hope that makes sense for you guys. So yeah, with it being a B setup, with me knocking it down because it's only the 4 hour that was short biased, nothing else, everything else was looking for longs, I thought, okay, a little less probable for it to come lower. But obviously there was things like the bearish divergence and the point of interest that was sort of in my favor as well. And don't get me wrong, my analysis was correct. Price did come lower, but I just didn't get the risk reward, and it's as simple as that. Things like that do happen. And to be quite honest with you, I already had a winner today. I was happy with GJ, which I'm going to go through with you soon. But yeah, I just want to explain to you the reason why I would be taking this trade. So room for risk reward, which is clear. Those risk reward to ADR, daily pivot as well. And price did previously come off that resistance level up here. There was a nice candle through the 8 and the 21 EMA. So I'm looking for a entry off that significant level. And it did close lower than the 2 left legs there as well, which is added confirmation that price is going to come lower. So yeah, it definitely came lower. And then I did actually get a break. This was actually a break-even trade. So I actually put my stop loss. I think I put my stop loss about 400, was it? Yeah, I think, yeah. 133.400 I had my stop loss at. Oh, no, sorry, it was, I think it was 415. Was it 420? Maybe. But I pretty much had it around the 21 EMA region, and that was my sort of exit signal in the trade. Because I did notice that on the other time frames, the JPY pairs price started coming back higher. So I thought, well, maybe it might mirror what's happening on Euro JPY. So I thought, well, the best thing for me to do is just put my stop loss above the 21 EMA, which pretty much eliminates me from losing any capital. And if price comes lower, brilliant, I'll get my risk reward. It's a winner. If it doesn't, there's no losses, and move on to the next trade. It's as simple as that. So that was my sort of idea and where I was going with this. It was overbought again, which I liked. You've got a good TDI, which I said before. And then the only knock was the fact that the daily could have been in the sell zone as well. So if that was still in the sell zone, so if I had the 4-hour and the daily in my favor of going short, then that would have just been a little bit more added confirmation for me. But I'm more than happy to have that as a break even. Like I've said there, it's much better than just sort of taking it as a loss and risking it all. I think putting a break even after 1.5R or 1R, depending on the setup and how the market's moving at that time, depending on what news you've got coming through the rest of the afternoon as well. I think it's really important for you to sort of manage your trade as you go along and just sort of react to the market, like I said, instead of sort of predicting, because you're not always going to get 2-3R straight off the bat. Price is going to move up and down. So it's really, really important for you to just sort of manage your trade well, find a great entry signal, find a great exit signal, and yeah, just stick to your plan, stick to your rules. Okay. So we're talking about flag patterns and diamond tops. I used to use those terms a lot, but I just because I sort of react to the market instead of predicting, I don't take those sort of patterns into consideration. I'm not going to sit here and say that they don't work. It's just something that just doesn't fit with the way I trade. But no, I can definitely see where you're going with that, Lorenzo. Okay. So Euro AUD, again, another pair that sort of qualified for my watch list. It was a little bit of a swing trade today. Maybe it's something that Trader Nick would be involved with, because as you can see, it was just making higher highs, lower highs, higher highs, lower highs. So yeah, I mean, it was just sort of like it was sort of swinging to the upside there, and it did reach ADR, and it did actually go higher. And I liked how the L50 was in the buy zone. If I was going to trade this, I'd be looking for longs because the L50 was in the direction of trend. However, with this, there's no clear entry signal for me. So as you can see, the 8 and the 21 did cross here, which is brilliant. And I have explained before the reason why I don't like trading over extended candles. So that's a 16.4 pip candle, and that's quite a significant candle, especially if the ADR is only 58, so about 60 pips. So, and because the candle's there, your risk reward to ADR isn't much, and the probability of price going above and beyond ADR like it did today, making highs of 1.57900, that's very, very, very small. So I didn't like how overextended that candle was, and the most pips that I'd recommend trading, and this is just primarily based off my watch list and my back testing, is 12 pips. Like that's the biggest candle that I'd potentially sort of trade off and use as an entry signal, and especially if it's the largest candle of day, the probability that price isn't gonna maintain that sort of volume and liquidity there. So as you can see, 2 great strong shift bars. However, after that, you had this sort of slowed down momentum of just short candles, and then price came lower and shot back up again. So yeah, I mean, moved great, just didn't give me any sort of entry or didn't give me any sort of entry signal there. The TDI as well could have been better. So if it was looking something like this, then great. However, as you can see, at the point of entry there, the TDI just isn't great. RSI and the L50 isn't on top. It isn't something that I'd be looking at trading. So I'm more than happy to just leave that as it is and let that run. And that is Euro AUD, by the way. So you can see slightly and very faintly, you can see it says Euro AUD there, and you can see the time frame that I'm on, just in case you do get a little bit confused. Okay. That's fine. So Euro CHF, this was another one that I was involved with, and this was actually on my story on Instagram. So if you want to check me out on Instagram as well, it's at Niamh Forex. You can sort of track me day to day, my watch list every day, what I'm trading and what I'm sort of getting involved with. So yeah, I update everybody on there as well. So if you've got any queries or questions, feel free to reach out as well. Okay. So yeah, someone's still asking about GU. That's fine. I'm going to go into GU after. Do you know what? I'll go into GU after this, so I don't forget. So again, another counter trend trade today. A lot less probable than the in-trend trades, but I'm more than happy taking them if the risk reward's there. Okay, so as you can see, another little point of interest here from yesterday evening. And then you had the Asian range involved. However, as you can see, when I actually took this trade, you can see that the Asian range wasn't broken. So there was a probability that price might just sort of chop sideways and there not be much movement. And in this case, there wasn't much movement. As you can see, like, it was very wicky today. I mean, it had a great movement up until about 9 o'clock. The probability of that sort of going to ADR is quite small because it's moved quite a significant amount already. So it moved about 21.5 pips in total today. And that's only about a 10 pip lenience, if that. So yeah, it is a slow pair. And I really did like the volume at the start of the day. I was thinking, wow, it's definitely going to come lower. There's great volume. And then it just sort of stopped around this region. So because of that, that's when I sort of closed the position. So when you're trading, like I've said previously, you can't expect every trade to go straight to R. There's going to be a bit of choppiness. There's going to be a little bit of uncertainty when you are trading. The direction of trend will never be direct. There's going to be choppiness and everything like that. It is to come. So I was a little bit uncertain of whether to sort of stay within this trade or not. So that's why I closed 70% of the position, because I thought, well, I took into account the ADR, which is very low. I took into account the volume that it's moved already. And I thought, well, okay, what I'll do is I'll put my stop loss above the 21 EMA, which I have done. If it comes lower, brilliant. I'll still profit off the remaining 30%. If it goes to break even, it is what it is. Like I've said, these trades are less probable, but I did still profit. So I still took 70% of the trade out at 1.5R. So I still made a bit of profit there. So I'm more than happy to have that as a break-even trade again. So this was a B setup, and like I've said there, it's because of the Asian range. That's the reason behind that. So again, if we take that onto the higher time frames, you can see that the L50 is in the sell zone. It is short biased. It has been short biased for a while. It's been in that downtrend since 7th of April on the daily. And you've also got a consolidation zone back from last year around December, January time at the start of the year. So maybe price might continue coming lower to 1.07600. You just don't know, depending on what the market's telling you, and obviously when you're reacting to that, that's fine. But yeah, it has just been sort of swingy, and it has been coming lower. So as you can see again on the 4 hour, you've got the L50 in the sell zone again. It was in the sell zone on the 1 hour at the beginning of the day, and then it did creep back up into the buy zone as I sort of took the position on. Half an hour time frame was long biased. However, the liquid 50 was falling. So usually when the liquid 50 is falling or rising, it gives you the indication that price is going higher or lower. So yeah, with the higher time frames being in my favor, I was all over this. I thought, wow, brilliant. There's definitely opportunity for this to come lower. And like I've said there, I was correct. It did come lower. I just couldn't get the risk reward. So I put my stop loss above here. So it was above the point. It was literally at the point of interest. And because I seen this wick, and this wick get so close to that point at the very top of the point of interest level, I thought there's no point me risking anything less because of that. So I thought I'm more than happy to put my stop loss and have that of 8 pips. And then I had my risk reward marked out as 2R, and it does actually sort of coincide with this sort of retest of price here. So I thought, okay, there's definitely opportunities to sort of price to come back to that level, and that is 1.08840 as an average. So yeah, I was more than happy to see that sort of come lower today, which it did, and I'm happy with that. I can't sit here and say that I'm not happy that it didn't go 2R, because I was correct with my analysis. It was definitely coming lower, but with risk reward sometimes, and with the market and with news, things happen. You can't win them all. But yeah, like I said, I've still profited off this, so I have nothing to sort of complain about. Like I said, with it not being in the Asian range, that could have been a little bit better for me. If price was a little bit lower, broke that Asian range, maybe I could have got 2R out of it. Maybe I wouldn't have had to use my stop loss all the way to the point of interest. But I was happy with that. I was happy with that. Okay. So, people keep asking me about GU. Let's have a look at GU. So this didn't actually qualify for my watch list today. And yeah, the reason why, it was very, very close to the stationary 50. So the stationary 50 is this 50 level, and this determines whether it's long biased or short biased. And because it was very in the middle, so I'm just going to blow this up here. Because it was very because it was very sort of in the middle and it wasn't very biased at all, I had to sort of keep this out of my watch list. So it's in the buy zone, and then it swaps in the sell zone, and then it's in the buy zone again. And with it being so close to the stationary 50, you're looking at a 50-50 probability of it going higher or lower. So it's just, to me, it's like betting. And don't get me wrong, there's other people that sort of trade GU and trade off these point of interest levels, which is brilliant, which was marked up roughly around here. Take that higher to those wicks actually as well. So yeah, you can see that sort of point of interest there, and I can definitely see why people have gone short with this. If this was in the sell zone, I'd be all over it. It'd be a trending trade, it'd be a B setup, it would still be in the Asian range. So I'll have the Asian range marked up for you, bear with. Yep, so it would... No, apologies, no, it wouldn't be in the Asian range. So it would have broke the Asian range, hit the ADR level, and come lower. So that would have been more of a confirmation for me. And if I was to sort of get involved with this, I'd be looking at taking this trade at 9:15. So it looks like a strong entry candle here, coming off the 8 in the 21, which is brilliant. And then straight to ADR. So 3.5R already. Held the 8 EMA completely. So there's no need for me to sort of take any partial profits or anything like that. So I can understand why people had GU in the back pocket today. I can understand why people went short on this. As you can see as well, higher time frames are short biased. You've got the daily in the buy zone still. However, you can see that candle is coming off the 21 EMA. So you can see on the 11th of June, it already price broke below the 21 EMA already. So because it's already broke through, 9 times out of 10, you're looking for that to continue and to come lower. So it is still long biased on the TDI, but price itself and the EMA is looking like it is coming lower. The 4 hour is in the sell zone. It's holding the 8 EMA from last week, from Friday when it did come lower. And then on the 1 hour, you've still got that point of interest level there. And that was the trade as well on the yesterday on the Monday. So with this trade, like I said, it isn't something that I'll be involved with because there are a few knocks to this, because it's the way I trade. But I can definitely see people's bias of going short with that. Has anybody got any other ideas or anything they want to share? Because that's sort of my analysis and how I'd go about trading GU. But like I said, because it didn't fit my plan today, I was more than happy to leave that off my watch list. So the Euros is starting very soon. So I'm not going to waste any more of your time because I want to watch Germany and France with soccer or football, depending on what you call it, wherever you are in the world. So I'm going to wrap up with one more trade opportunity. So this was one that went straight to R, and I was really happy with this. Again, a B setup. So it's been a B setup across the board with me today. So I've had 70% of my position closed. So I want to say it was more of like so it was a break-even trade, but I did close 70% of the position, so I was more than happy with that. I had the one break-even as well on Euro JPY, and then I had the winner from GBP JPY. So I've had an okay day, and I've had quite a busy day today. I don't usually see myself trading 3 times today, but because I'm back testing this counter trend system so much, I want to see what it's like with forward testing as well. I've just seen BB King there about US 30, Eros as well about gold. So I've already gone through a little bit about gold. So if you replay the video, you'll be able to see a little bit about my bias on that, but I'm not 100% with gold. US 30, I've not got into US 30 yet. I needed to build a system around all of these different index and indices. So US 30, NASDAQ, NAS 100 isn't something that I trade for now. I'm still working on my gold setup, so I will be trading it at some point, but it isn't something that I'd be looking at trading at the moment. And I would be looking at taking, I think, the NAS 100 and NASDAQ. I would be looking at taking that on a lower time frame. So I would be testing that probably on the 1 minute and the 5 minute. I do need to do a little bit more research into those sort of pairs. So yeah, once I've got some sort of system and I've back tested a strategy on that, I'm more than happy to share that and let you know my approach to that. But yeah, I'm going to wrap this up with GJ. And if you've got any questions whilst I'm going through this, I'll answer those after. So just fire those through in the comments box. But yeah, for now, I'll just ramble on about GU. So again, like you've already seen today, another short bias trend. All JPY pairs and all came lower. And like I said, what sort of hesitated me with the Euro CHF trade was the fact that price did come higher a little bit. So I actually closed this position at 2R. I did. So I closed this as it just hit 2R, and I could have kept it running, but I was more than happy with my 70% closed, my break even, and I was happy with this going a full 2R because the two previous trades didn't, and I didn't want greed to sort of kick in and me sort of kick myself later on. So I was more than happy to come out of the trade. I could have gone to ADR with this, and I could have got 3.5R, which could have been brilliant. However, I could see that price was sort of slowing down at the daily pivot, and with it being such a strong zone for risk reward when doing these counter trend trades, I was more than happy to sort of close that out at 2R. I've still profited a lot today. So yeah, 2.3% today. So I'm absolutely fine with that. Okay, so again, overbought on the 15-minute. Looks like price isn't going to go any higher. It is actually coming off the ADR level. So it's literally gone almost ADR to ADR. And the average daily range on GJ is 80 pips. And I absolutely love GJ because of that. Absolutely love GJ because it's so volatile and you can get such big moves off it when it does go in your favor. So I am a fan of GJ. It is one of my best pairs up there with what I like to trade. Again, the Asian range is broken, which is brilliant. And then sort of taking into consideration the higher time frames with this. I'll go on here as well, just to sort of remove my other watch list. You've seen that enough today. It's very long biased. Like, as you can see, price has been in this sort of bullish stage since April. It's not stopped coming higher. So the daily is in the buy zone, so I am just wary of that. However, I did like the 4 hour. The 4 hour was in the sell zone, and price has been quite choppy the past few days. So as you can see, that it's just been very up and down. And then going on the 1 hour as well, it literally made the same pattern as it did last week. So as you can see, it made like a point of interest here. Price came lower, and that's with the bearish divergence involved there as well. Same again where price came higher, bearish divergence was involved. There wasn't a point of interest this time. However, price did come lower. So it was literally the same pattern, as you can see. Like the 30-minute as well, it pretty much mirrored what was on the 15-minute. That's great. And again, the TDI was good. You had the L50 on top, the trend line and RSI crossed, which is brilliant, and then price did come lower. The entry candle as well came off the 8 and the 21. That's what I'd be looking for. That's great. And yeah, price just fell from there. Just plumped back down. Held the 8 EMA all day, and because it did that, I didn't need to take any partial profits at all. I was more than happy to close the full trade at 2R. So yeah, I was happy with that. So yeah, the only knock was the daily time frame, and as you can see, price did come higher. So if I was still involved with this trade and I was greedy and I was looking to get past ADR, then I would have lost pretty much the majority of my profits for the day. But yeah, I was, like I said, I was more than happy to come out at 2R. I was more than happy with that. I've got my risk reward. I've been involved with 3 trades today, and I just wanted to sort of wrap up. So, has anybody got any questions? But yeah, it's been a long one today, guys, and I really appreciate everybody joining. Like I said, give it a like, hit the notification bell as well, just so that you're sort of notified and you can keep up to date with when I'm back on lives. And then we've also, it happens every Tuesday, 7 p.m. GMT, and I'll also post that on my Instagram. And I'll give you a little countdown as well, just so that you can sort of give yourself a little time just to sort of tune in. But apart from that, I'm going to wrap it up because the football's on. The Euro 2020 is pending. So yeah, I will leave it at that. And if you've got any queries or questions, give me a shout either on Instagram, or you can go ahead and catch me on Twitter as well. I'm at Niamh Forex. But Instagram is the best place to catch me. But yeah, thanks so much for tuning in, guys. Really appreciate your time.